It looks like it's healthy. So we're going to go here. I think that's fine. I should get a notification. There is the notification. It's loaded. It looks good. I'm going to keep moving. That's awesome. So yeah, again, so you want to be sure to be subscribed to my YouTube channel and have your notifications turned on. So whenever I post anything, a video or go live or anything like this, you'll get a notification. It should just come straight to your phone. You can click it. Sometimes I give credit for, I don't have it going right now, but sometimes I do give credit for like being in a live chat, being in attendance online. But I'm just not doing it right now. Right now, I'm just doing it for record's sake. And so that way anybody that's not here, I think there's only one person we're missing. Miss Sabir, are you here? Sabir? So yeah.
It's Beautiful Mind
Pfeiffer.
Right?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so let's go ahead. Now we officially have about 25 minutes or so. But that's enough time, especially to do 26 slides. We can definitely do this. So let's go ahead and finish it out and see what it's looking like. So this is section 3.5, symbolic arguments. Let's see, it should pop up in just a second. Come on. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So symbolic arguments. Let's see the conclusion to all of this. I have some examples. I don't think it's here, but I do have examples where how we use it in like programming, and I would like to introduce those at some point. So we're going to look at symbolic arguments and standard forms of arguments. So an argument consists of a set of premises and a conclusion, right? It's called a symbolic argument because we generally write it in symbolic form to determine its validity. Let's see it in action. An argument is valid when its conclusion necessarily follows from a given set of premises. An argument is invalid or a fallacy when the conclusion does not necessarily follow from a given set of premises. For instance, okay, so we have this one. So say we're given P implies Q, and we're given that P is true. Do you remember, how do we rewrite this implication as an OR? Not P or Q, right? So we're either saying that not P is true or Q is true. But if P is true, look, let's look at it really quickly. So we're given this is given, P implies Q, and we're also given P is true, right? So that's the first one, that's the second. Then the third one is, oh, well, we can rewrite P implies Q as not P or Q. But then if we say P is true, is it possible for P to be true and not P to be true? No, that's called a contradiction. Those are opposites. So because P is true, that means what has to be true in this case? Q has to be true. Because you see, the third line says that either not P is true or Q is true. But we have that P is true, so that means that Q has to be true. Does that make sense at all? Does that make sense? No? No? Okay, look at this row right here. Give me a color. Green, right? Look right here. So this third line, do you see where this third line came from? Do you see earlier? Remember earlier we said that P implies Q is the same as not P or Q? We're also given that P is true. So this is true. Now this is saying that either not P is true or Q is true, right? But is it possible for P to be true and for not P to be true? No. That's a contradiction. So these two essentially cancel each other out. So that means what's the only thing that's left? That's why this is the conclusion.
What are those dots?
These three dots mean therefore. So it just means therefore. Let me go ahead and write that in. This means therefore. So time, cool beans, okay? Yeah, the three dots. So those three dots means therefore. So we're given premise 1, we're given premise 2, and the conclusion is Q. Let's see how it evolves. So we write in symbolic form, complete the forms that are known to be valid or invalid, blah, blah, blah. Construct a truth table. If the answers have all true, the statement is a tautology, the argument is valid. So in order for the argument to be valid, we would do the truth table with the original form. If we get a tautology, then the argument is valid. If you get anything other than a tautology, then the argument is not valid. So let's look at it. Let's see. Okay, let's do the last one. Let's do the last one. This one. So if we're given this, let's look at the truth table. How many simple statements? Give me a color.
Green.
Okay, let's do green. So let's just verify what we just said. How many simple statements are there? 2. What are they? P and Q, right? So we have P, Q, true, true, false, false, true, false, true, false. So now, if we're given P implies Q and P, therefore Q. So let's translate that. So we have P implies Q That's the first one. And P is the second one. These together imply Q. That's how we translate that into the symbolic form. Okay? So now, P implies Q. Implication is what? When is implication true?
Only when one of them is false.
It's always true except true implies false. That is not what you said. I realized when I said it, but it's okay. So that means we're going to have what? True, false, true, true, right? P we've already done. We can go ahead and write it again. That's okay. So then so if this was 1, 2, 3, 4, then tell me about column 5. And means what? Are they both or what? Are they both true? And means it's only true when they're both true. So we go true, false, 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 right? So that's column 5. Now, we're saying column 5 implies what column?
Q.
What column number is that?
2.
2. 5 implies true. 5 implies 2. Implication is always true except true implies false. True implies true is true, and the rest are all what?
False.
True. Because false implies anything is what?
True.
So false implies anything is true, true, true. That's the conclusion. So there we see that the conclusion is a tautology, therefore the argument is valid.
Oh, for 6 and 5 and 4.
For 6, I was saying 5 implies 2. I was saying column 5 implies column 2. Because the and is the conclusion from the left. Q is on the right. Q is column 2. So watch. This is what I mean.
So wait.
Wait. What's the time? Okay, so look. On the left, the conclusion is this column, right? We're saying this column implies Q, but Q is column 2. So we're saying this implies this. True implies true is true. False implies anything is true. False implies anything is true. False implies anything is true. So that's why it was a tautology there. Let me do the following. Shrink this down. I'm going to put it right in that space. And again, the reason I share like these psalms and quotes and things is because these are the things that honestly helped me along my journey. I really appreciate them. I thought they were easy to remember. I do have them written down, and I just thought they were interesting. And so I just can't help. Something says pass them on. There's no need to hold on to this stuff, so just pass it on. So that's why I do it, and I think it'll just help as many people as I can. So we did all of this stuff, and we got a tautology. Therefore, the argument is valid. Okay, here. It says, determine whether the following argument is valid or invalid. It says, if we watch Good Morning America, then we will see Robin's. You did not see Robin Roberts, therefore we did not watch Good Morning America. So what are the? It's a lot that we need to write. For the sake of time, I'm going to go a little bit fast. So if P is the first simple statement, what's that first premise in symbolic form? If we watch Good Morning America, so what? P
implies Q.
Right. So P is the first simple statement. Q is the second one. So the first premise we're going to say is that P implies Q, right? The second premise, it says we did not watch Robin Roberts. So then how do we? Not Q, right? Because Q is the second simple statement. Robin Roberts. Okay. So then we're going to say the conclusion, or therefore, we did not watch Good Morning America. So what's that one going to be? Not P. And they say do a truth table. So now, when we do the truth table, how many simple statements? 2. So we have P and Q, same as before. True, true, false, false, true, false, true, false. Now, we're going to say, to translate the right-hand side into the truth table, we're saying the first thing, which is this, and the second thing, which is this, implies the final thing, which is this. You see how we did that? Is that a yes or a no? This view, is that a yes? It's a yes. Okay. So now, P implies Q is what? Always true except?
True implies false.
So we're going to have true, false, true, true. Not Q. We're going to do the opposite. So we have false, true, false, true. And means they what?
True.
When is it true? When is and true?
When they're
Both are true. So we look at the first row. Are they both true? Yes or no?
No. False.
So all of them are?
Except for the last one.
Okay, except for the last one. That's true. Is that okay? Is that clear? Okay. So now, implication. Oh, we need to do not P. So then not P is what? The opposite of,
P, which is false, false, true.
okay. So then false implies anything is, false implies anything is, false implies anything is,
True.
false implies anything is true. What I'm comparing, look, this is column 1, 2, this was column 3, this was column 4, this was column 5, this was column 6, this is 7. We're comparing column 5 implies column 6. So if I'm looking at 5, false implies anything is true. False implies anything is true. False implies anything is true. Lastly, true implies true is true. Okay, I know I'm going a little fast. I'm kind of doing that on purpose. But this was the conclusion. Since we got a tautology, is the argument valid, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Because we got a tautology in the final column of the truth table, then we're saying the argument is valid. There's another way we can actually do the original. Let me show you. So say our first thing is we're going to use that P implies Q. We're also going to accept that not Q is true. Let's rewrite that implication as an OR. So if we rewrite the implication as an OR, what does it become? Not P or Q, right? So this is saying either not P is true or Q is true. But then if we have not P or Q and not Q is true, do you see a contradiction going on? So essentially, long story short, what's going to happen, and I didn't write it properly all the way, but essentially those two are going to cancel, and then what's the conclusion? Therefore, not P has to be true. The green is another way to do the same thing. With the one extra step, I didn't do it all the way proper, but the idea is there. Let me just shrink it down. So we actually did the same thing 2 different ways. Okay, it's not obvious, but I just wanted you to see it. Okay, and we can put the conclusion, but in either case, we got that the argument is valid. So they're doing the truth table, they got a tautology, therefore the argument is valid. We don't have these. That sucks. We need these. Hang tight. Hang tight. I don't know who those guys are. Go ahead.
So for the test, can we either do the table or the shortcut that you just taught us?
Either one is acceptable. Because more than likely it'll be multiple choice and I'm just going to be looking for the right answer. For these 2 exams that are coming up, I would say anticipate open notes. You can use anything that's in your notebook. No electronic devices other than your regular calculator. Okay. It would be nice to have these up there. They are not there. I think there's another chart somewhere. These are all missing. I'm going to have to load them later. I have them. I'm just going to pull them up. All right. It says determine whether the argument is valid or invalid. I'm just going to kind of introduce them as we go. I have them. I don't know where they are off the cuff.
This is 3.1.
This is 3.5.
Okay.
So now, it says if we are on Facebook, then you'll see my pictures. So P is going to be Facebook, Q is going to be pictures. How do we translate the first one into symbolic form?
P implies Q.
Give me a color.
Green. No.
No, dark blue. Dark blue.
Pink.
I heard dark blue first. So we're going to say,
Next time use those pastel colors.
oh yeah, we actually do have like a slew of colors now. Oh, is it not? Yeah, we can add colors and do custom colors. So if you throw out some random ones, we can actually get them going. But right now, we got this. So let's see. We said P implies Q. They just did an update. There's one other thing they need to do when they do their update. They need to allow me to delete multiple pages there. But aside from that, I know I can do it on the computer. Can't do it on the tablet. It would be nice. Now it says, if you see my pictures, then you know I have a dog. So pictures is which symbol?
P. Q.
Nope, Q. So dog is going to be a what? R, the third simple statement. So it says, if you see my pictures, then you know I have a dog. So how do we translate that
Q
one?
implies R.
Q implies R. What's the conclusion?
P implies R.
P implies R, okay? I want to try the shortcut. I'm going to try the shortcut. I'm going to try it without the truth table and see if I can verify it.
Oh, it pops up for us.
So you do have it? Are you on a tablet?
Yeah.
iPad?
No, a tablet. Like the picture that you couldn't see, it pops up for us.
I don't know why it's doing that. But it's okay. So if you guys have it. Now, I want to try the shortcut here. So let me see. Can I paste still? That would be nice. Yes. What's the time? We got a little bit of time. Okay, cool. So now, I want to try the shortcut method. Now, I think it should be clear as far as how to do this stuff with the truth table. right? So you would say the first thing and the second thing implies the third thing. I'm going to try the shortcut calculus. So the first line we got is that P implies Q, that's given. The second line is Q implies R, that's a given. Now, we want to show P implies R. P implies R, we need to show, let's say need to show. Okay, let's see. The first thing, let's write it as what? An OR, is a disjunctive syllogism. How do we rewrite the first thing as an OR? Not P or Q. What about the second thing as an OR? Not Q or R. So if we accept these, so these are the disjunctive form of the first two. So we're saying not P is true, Q is true, not Q is true, and R is true. So we're saying that not P is true, this is true, and we're saying that not Q is true and R is true. There's some other ways to go about it. I'm going to try something really quickly. I think if we were to try to distribute, we're saying that, let me see. I think it is the same as not P or Q and not Q. Let me see if I'm doing this right. So this and that. I'm making a mistake somewhere. Can we just lose the parentheses? I think I'm messing it up here. This is something I need to see those slides that you all have access to. No, that's okay. I'm just thinking. I'm just trying to think. Give me a second. I'm trying to follow the rules properly. I think we can. Oh, we got to get it all to OR possibly. If we gotta alter the same or and. So if we factor out a negative. Can we say this and that? Because, I mean, I know essentially the Q's are going to cancel. Oh, and then that's supposed to be an OR. I'm trying to think. Give me 1 second. What's the time? So we got just shy of 10 minutes. What is proper? What is the proper thing? If we negate that, that's going to be P and Q. Let's see.
Would you like cancel out the Q's?
Yeah, that's essentially what's going to happen, but we need to apply it properly. If we distribute the negative, that's not going to do it. If we write it as an implication, I could look there.
Would you cancel out the OR and then it will become like an implication?
If we factor that out, so we're going to say not P and not Q. Let me see something really quickly. This is the same as not P and not Q. Are these the same? Because if we distribute, that becomes that. This needs to be an and. And then we say and. I don't know if this is going to work. We're going to say Q and not R. So then we can factor out the double negative from those. Let me see. So if we factor out the negative, this is going to be negative of, we're going to have P and not Q, or Q and not R. I think this is right. I'm not sure that I did it proper. I'm pretty sure I made a mistake in there, but I'm going to let it be for now. So we have true or false. That's a tautology. Let me kind of keep going. I know it's a little bit convoluted. Let me see if it works though. So then we're saying not. So that's a tautology. Let me see. So that's true. So if we have P and not R and true. Let me see something. Give me 1 second. So then if we distribute using De Morgan's law, it becomes not P or R or tautology. Let me see, P or not R is P implies R or tautology. This is a tautology. This or that. Okay, so I think we can do the following. If this is true or we would have to do cases. Okay, so if we get to something like this, right, we would have to do cases. So like then case 1 would be something like, if this is true, then we arrive to the conclusion that we want. If we say case 2, where we have a tautology, we can say, I think we can do or anything that we want. I'm stuck. I don't know that I'm doing it proper. Long story short, you can do the truth table. I know it's right there. There's something that I'm missing. Go ahead. What do you mean? Yeah. It's really this line here, above that bar where I'm getting stuck. For the sake of time, let me just kind of finish it out because we got less than 5 minutes, just about. I'm a little stuck on that case 2, so I have to let it be. But the simple thing here would just be the truth table. If you do the truth table, you get a tautology in the end, then it would be the case. Law syllogism. Now here, I think we have the laws. If you look at the laws, one of them, this is the law of syllogism, where you say P implies Q and Q implies R, therefore P implies R. You can actually just use that law. I was just trying to prove it. We don't have to do that. This is actually one of the laws of the ones that I could see. So you can actually just use that directly. It's like a law of transitivity, but P implies Q and Q implies R, therefore P implies R. That's called the law of syllogism. So you can just use the law directly. You don't have to do the proof like I was doing. Give me a second. We got about 5 minutes. We got a couple of slides. Determine whether the following argument is valid or invalid. If it's snowing, then we put salt on the driveway. If then, let me see, P implies Q. We put salt on the driveway. That's Q, therefore P. Let me see. Okay, really quickly. If we're given this P implies Q, we're given Q. That's a Q. I'm going to continue over here. I'm going to rewrite that as an or, so we're going to say not P or Q. Q is true. This one I think is no. Yeah. See, look. Yeah, this one is a fallacy just for the sake of time. I don't have time to explain it. It is invalid. Notice that here, if you did the truth table here, you should not get a tautology. If you do the truth table here, you should not get a tautology. If you don't get a tautology, then the argument is not valid. It's a fallacy, which means it's not always true. So that means this is an invalid argument. Okay, just because the conclusion is true doesn't mean that the hypothesis is true. Okay, I'm going to let that be for right now. The bell is about to ring. We got right at 5 minutes. Determine whether the following argument is valid or invalid. If it's snowing, then we put salt on the driveway. So P implies Q. It is not snowing, so we're going to say not. We're going to say not Q. We do not put salt on the driveway, so we're going to say not P. So here, the first one translated is going to be not P or Q, right? So if that's true, I think this is a fallacy as well. Because it will be a tautology if the thing canceled and the only thing that we were left with is Q, but it's not necessarily the case. Again, if you do the truth table, it should be the conclusion where it's not a tautology. So it's a good idea for you to verify. I got less than 3 minutes. Let me see, and we got a couple of slides. I use the truth table to determine whether the following argument is valid or invalid. So we have this statement. We want to determine if the logic is valid or not valid. It says, if my cell phone company is Verizon, then I can call you free of charge. I can call you free of charge, or I can send you a text message. I can send you a text message, or my cell phone company is Verizon. Therefore, my cell phone company is Verizon. That's a lot. Translated to the symbols, construct the truth table. If the conclusion of the truth table is tautology, then the argument is valid. Otherwise, it's not. Let's see. We have the symbols. Construct the truth table. The truth table was there. Is the final column a tautology? No. So then is the argument valid? No. Argument is invalid. Okay? So the bell is about to ring. We got about 2 or 3 minutes left on the clock. If I know some of that stuff, you should probably have me, want to see it again. But with that, we are actually ready for 2 exams now. Exam 2, we're going to go ahead and do it on Wednesday. And then exam 3, we'll do it on Friday. Be on the lookout for a study guide for exam 3. Okay? After Friday, next week, I'm under the impression we don't meet at all. So enjoy your Thanksgiving break. Have a happy Thanksgiving. And then we'll come back, right? Thanksgiving is next week, right? Right? Okay? Any questions, comments, or concerns? All right, from one beautiful mind to another, enjoy the rest of your day. Take care, lovely people.